I did a photo shoot that didn't really go as planned, but I'm pretty happy with the results. When I learned more about photography in high school, I was really drawn to portraiture. My sister has helped me throughout the years by modeling, and if it weren't for her letting me use new lenses or cameras and whatever, then I probably wouldn't have the experience I have now. For this photo shoot, I wanted to go with something that felt very nostalgic, at least for me. I wanted it to feel kind of 2000s, but also very natural and warm. We both have schedules, but we found time to do this kind of last minute thing. And because it was last minute, I hadn't really planned too much. And when I went to go get my strobe, it was dead. Originally, I had wanted to go with 35mm film, but since the strobe was dead, that really wasn't going to happen because I wasn't going to have enough light. I thought I wouldn't really have enough light to make this work, and I didn't want to push the film, so I decided to just go digital and make it easier since we really didn't have too much time. And so I just decided to adapt my vintage lenses, which I was going to use with the film camera because those open up to 2.8 and I needed more light. Plus, I figured by using these lenses, it would help me achieve the look I was going for. I wasn't going to have enough time to charge the strobe's battery, so I decided to scrap that idea altogether and just whip out my Aperture Amaran 100X. I think that's what it's called. But it's a bicolor LED light that allows you to control the temperature, which is pretty much what I needed. So I took the light outside and placed it outside of her window on a stand. I believe I also ran an extension cord for power, but I basically just brought the light up as high as I could, angled it down, and I put it on max power and pretty much to the warmest color I could get it. I also turned on a small desk lamp she had and pointed it at her. I don't know how much of a difference it was making, but any little bit of light helps because we didn't have the room lights on and I wanted the Amaran to be the main source of light. So that was pretty much what we had for gear. I forgot to mention that we also used a speed light, which is one of those flashes that attach the mount on the camera if you don't know what that is. And we tried that out. She kind of liked some of the results. I did edit those. They weren't really exactly what I was going for because it was just a different vibe. So I'm not going to be focusing on those, but we also did that. So for the actual photo taking, I switched between the primes. I started off with the 28, then went to the 35, then the 50, then the 85. And I didn't really use too much of the 85 because we weren't really happy with how they were coming out. I really liked the results from the 28 and the 35 because they showed a lot of the background and made it look kind of more candid / natural. You can actually see from the GoPro footage that the scene looks very different from the final results in terms of the lighting because it was. And that's because I was shooting at f2.8, so I was wide open on all lenses, and I was in between a 60th to 125th of a second, and I was at ISO 800. When we first started, there was daylight, but about 3/4 in, we pretty much lost all of it, and I was going for a morning sunlight, bright day type feel. In editing, I pushed the photos 3 stops, and I don't know if I would have been able to achieve that with film. I guess I could have used Portrait 800 and pushed that 3 stops, but I don't know how that would have turned out. Maybe I should try that one day. But thank God for modern digital cameras that can handle that underexposure pretty well. Through the shoot, I mostly stayed in one place at the end of the bed, but since I was switching focal lengths, it looks like I was getting closer and closer. There are a few times where I would come around to the side and try to shoot through these wind chimes she has in her room. They're like green hummingbirds, so kind of got a little bit creative with that. My main concern was composition and focusing because I was using those vintage lenses with no autofocus. I was constantly checking the zoom feature on the camera, the digital zoom, to make sure that I was in sharp focus. Now going into editing, I threw all the photos into Lightroom. Once I found a good base, I started playing around with the white balance and testing out different temperatures. And I ended up actually really liking the warm balance and just kind of leaning into that for the final edit. I ended up with the results I was going for, but the way I went about it was very different to how I'd originally planned. And I'm really happy with these, and these are some of my favorite. As a photographer, you just kind of got to roll with the punches and work with what you got. And that could be applied to many different things, but if there's anything to take away from this, I would say it's don't be completely discouraged or give up when things aren't going exactly as you planned. Same thing as the Lord Almighty. Put your trust in Him and obey Him because He can see the future. So rely on Him to ease your stress, your anxiety, and your worries. I hope you enjoyed this photo shoot breakdown. I really enjoy watching videos like this on YouTube, and I'm trying to make more of these. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
It's only your name I'm calling. See now you where they make me dance, make me dance like this, like that.